Page 72, the Nightingale and the Cuckoo. Let's talk about this, starting in the right hand. The fingering, 3-1. This using a 3-1 is quite common in trilling. Now we're starting the trill on the upper note. It's not marked as a trill, but when you get these alternate, that is a trill. Whether it's marked as a trill or not is not. The difference is it's not optional. Ornaments are optional, including trills, but when they write it out like this, it's not an ornament, so it's not optional. But it's like a trill. So it's here. 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a. And I recommend you put a little accent on the beat and drop the wrist if you can, just to keep loose, just to practice. 1E and a. 1E. So your third measure, you're crossing over. Last measure, it's a staccato. Just lift up as you come up. Going on, second line similar to the first, except the ending is just keep there. Top of page 73. Again, now we're starting on the main note, but it's still 1-3-1-3. You see, you need to be able to start on either note, but in my opinion, you're going to be starting on the upper note most of the time. But here it's main note. Notice the staccatos. Second line, similar to what you've had before, except the ending is a little different. Third line, same as the last line on page 72, except the last measure is a little different. Fourth line, isn't this fun? Oh boy. And the last line, it's here, except the 8VA sends it up here. And then the left hand, I'll get to that in a minute. And then the last two measures in the right hand. Staccatos. Not on the last note, but on the eighth notes. The left hand is just supporting. It's just broken chords. You're just here. Notice the accent on the... And then here, I'm just rotating here. There's very little motion. Notice the natural sign there in the third measure, this C natural in parentheses. This brings up a point about music notation I'd like to talk about. The reason for the natural sign is they want you to know this is a C natural, not a C sharp. Because you may be confused, because if you look in the upper staff, there's a C sharp up there. It's in parentheses because it's not necessary. It'd be a C natural anyway. It's a C natural period because there's no C sharp in the key signature. But it's confusing to some people when they see a sharp in one staff and they want to apply that to all staffs, and that's not the way music works. That C sharp in the upper staff, that accidental, applies in that staff only. It doesn't apply to any other staff. So at the bottom, this C down there, that's a C natural. So, just so you know, like you to understand why the symbols are what they are. It's the same thing in the next line. You have a C natural in the left hand. Just to remind you, it's a C natural. Top of page 73, up here, rest. So it's 1 and rest and. So rest, rest, rest. Nothing confusing about that. And the second line, last measure, the last note staccato. Interest just boom. Then the third line's you've had that before. The fourth lines you've had that before. The last note again, and the fourth line is staccato. You see, over on page 72, the second line there, that's not staccato. But over here on 73, it is. And it's important that you make that distinction. We're looking for these little things. In the last line, you're here. See, you've been in treble clef the whole time. In the bottom staff, so you're here, and then here. Put the hands together. The left hand's got the cuckoos. Cuckoo. And the right hand has the nightingale. I'm a nightingale. Together, they got a duet going. the right hand, crescendo up to that G. That's where you want to go. Then come back down. That's only the right hand. Leave the left hand soft. Second line. Again, a crescendo up to the G. And then 73 here, you're come back down to soft. They don't tell you how loud to get at the beginning, but I'm telling you, just make it soft. See, it's a ba-da-da-da-ba-bam there. The crescendo's in a different place. Second line on page 73, the last two measures. That's it. A little distinction here in the last measure on page 73. You're here. You have a staccato in the left hand, but the right hand has to stay down for the rest of that count. So it's 1 and 2 and. It comes up on the end of 2. But the left hand has staccato, it's done. So just for a little bit, the right hand's down by itself. Going on, third line. You've had this before, and the crescendo goes up to the G. Next line. And again, the crescendo goes up to the G. Staccato in the left hand, but keep the right hand down. Off. Last line, you're up here. Now they finally give you a dynamic. Well, they told you piano up above, but I already told you piano, so I gave it away. Last line is sort of soft. Second measure is very soft. It's like an echo. And then you're soft. That's the right hand that's soft. You're ending it soft, and it's a really pretty little piece. Your allegro, I don't know what that is. It's up to you. It depends on these trills. You take the hardest part of the piece, in this case probably the trill, and however fast you can control that, that's your allegro. Don't go beyond that. As you get better in time, you'll be able to speed it up. But isn't that cool? It's a really neat piece. Now, when I was little and studying, I didn't like it at all. But the teacher didn't explain anything. She just said, play the notes. So, she was a nice lady. Don't get me wrong. She said, play the notes nicely. But she didn't explain anything. And that gets me off on teachers. That's the difference. I mean, you have your community teachers in your small towns who happen to know piano, and they love piano, and they like teaching little kids how to play, and that's wonderful. But if they haven't had the musical background and can't tell you and give you the background in it, you might be missing out a little bit. And that happened to me when I was young. I had a really wonderful, nice teacher, but she didn't have all that background knowledge that a good college education would have presented. I'd like to play this slowly, and if you want to play it along with me, go ahead. I'm not going to do the dynamics too much. You do the dynamics. We want to do the right notes at the right time, and I'll put in the articulation and all that wonderful stuff. So the right hand is up here. Left hand is here. Now for the purpose of this play with me, I'm going to slow this way down. I put the metronome on 8th notes. So it's beating 1 and 2 and. That means the 16th notes are 1 E and 2 E and 1 E. That's still pretty fast for 16th notes, but let's see if we can play it at that speed. You may have to practice this a while to build it up to that speed, but then you can play it with me if you want. I'm going to give us 2 quarter notes or 4/8 notes. 1 and go and boom, and then we boom together. Well, 1 and ready and go and. Rest. 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 Rest.